Hey, what's up? I'm Mr. Honish. Welcome to my flipped classroom. Today we'll be looking at the region known as Southeast Asia, which, based on its position between the larger and more historically dominant countries of China and India, has received a lot of influence from those two. There's also been a lot of influence from Europe, which owned most of the region as colonies at one point or another. This has turned Southeast Asia into quite a melting pot of culture. There are a ridiculous number of ethnic groups here, like the 300 plus in Indonesia alone. In turn, there are several major languages here as well. There's definitely a blend of religion too, including Buddhism, which is the main faith of mainland Southeast Asia, and Islam, which is bigger in the island countries, and Catholicism, which is big in the Philippines due to Spain's influence, and Hinduism, which is popular on islands that have had more influence from India. As is true with most of the world outside of Europe, Southeast Asia was once run by European countries and split up into colonies. Portugal and Spain showed up first looking for valuable spices, and the famous Ferdinand Magellan claimed the Philippines for Spain. By the 1600s, though, the Dutch reached their golden age and had driven the Portuguese out by the mid-1700s, creating a successful spice trade and calling their colony the Dutch East Indies. By the 1800s, France and Britain decided they could ignore the region no longer and set up plantations and mines there. And by 1898, the United States, who just a century earlier had fought so valiantly to rid themselves of corrupt British colonial rule to set up a freedom-loving democratic society, won a war against Spain, and took the Philippines as a colony as part of the prize. Ah, irony. Anyway, by World War II, it didn't matter who owned land in Southeast Asia because it was basically all taken over by Japan. The European countries had bigger fish to fry than protecting their colonies half a world away. But Japan eventually lost the war, and the U.S. gave the Philippines its independence, and soon after, most other Southeast Asian colonies started fighting their colonial rulers for independence too. But once the colonial rulers left, it opened up several civil wars here. The most important of those wars for the United States would definitely be the war that began in Vietnam between a communist North Vietnam and a democratic South Vietnam. The U.S. supported South Vietnam to avoid what we called a domino effect of countries falling to communism throughout the region. But we lost. Seriously, Kaler Burns, we lost. So Vietnam and Cambodia ended up being communist. In Cambodia, a group called the Khmer Rouge came to power, led by a man named Pol Pot, and they brought genocidal policies and killed over 1 million of their own people. Today, most of mainland Southeast Asia lives a rural lifestyle with many small villages and farmers working the land to make ends meet. Most of these people fall well short of the average income seen in developed countries and even the emerging markets of some of its regional neighbors like China and India. Some countries, such as Vietnam, are starting to grow their economies rapidly, but some countries, such as Myanmar, have long histories of government corruption and human rights violations. In the island regions, there has been much more reason for optimism, though. The economies have been booming behind an increase in manufacturing jobs coming to the area. These jobs aren't always the highest paying. I mean, you really think the reason your Jordans were $130 and your Beats were $299 is because they're paying the workers 20 bucks an hour? Pfft. But at least it's a step towards growing a larger middle class and moving people from the countryside to urban centers, a process all developed countries have been through. There are current health risks that cause some concern, though. The factories are often poorly ventilated and ridiculously hot and require long hours of work. When the workers step outside, they immediately begin breathing in the heavy smog caused by the factories themselves and the crowded streets full of traffic around them. A place like Singapore remains the shining example of what all other countries in Southeast Asia strive to be. It is a free port, which means there are very few taxes on goods that travel through it. As you can imagine, this has made it an incredibly busy port and has brought plenty of money. As a result, many large international companies have moved closer to the action and set up offices here, bringing high-paying jobs to the area. Part of the allure of Singapore has also been the clean streets and lack of crime. But that could be due to some ridiculously harsh laws. You can check out this website to see what I mean. So when all is said and done, we are still waiting to see what the future holds for this diverse, up-and-coming region. Will the rest of Southeast Asia evolve into a bustling, modern center of trade and commerce like Singapore? Or will the sheer number of people, pollution, and a checkered history of colonization and corruption continue to hold the region down? I'll leave you to ponder that. But in the meantime, go study, and until next time, bye-bye.